On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe we are still doing court storming discussions. I can't believe this is what the sport has become. I cannot believe that everyone's brains have been turned to mush, and I genuinely cannot believe it. I can't believe that we've had these arguments for years now. They get more insane with each passing each time we talk about it. It's like the insanity gets ramped up a level. And we have now reached a point with the court storming debate where you would be led to believe that there are just like bodies laying on the court, in the streets, that the casualty count on some of these court storms are through the roof, and we've never seen atrocities like this. But yeah, I mean, this is I'm annoyed as all hell about it. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. It's literally fucking insane that we're still talking about court storming, both like this season and over the greater arc of college basketball, that in 2024 we're still talking about it. But the bozos that are trying to get rid of court storming won't shut up about it and are so adamant that they want to get rid of one of the great things in college basketball that I kind of have to be, I guess, the one dissenting voice here and say, no, let's not do that. So I kind of have to talk about it, even though I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, that's fun. The calendar is almost turning to March, and instead of talking about all the fun stories and all the fun basketball being played, we get to talk about whether Kyle Filipowski will ever walk again, and whether every student on the Wake Forest basketball court should be arrested and shot in the face, and whatever other solutions are being tossed around out there. So yeah, I'll probably talk about court storming a little bit. I don't want to. There are a lot more fun things to talk about. But yeah, the court storming arguments are back. And I guess we'll talk about that today. Speaking of being back, the Kentucky Wildcats are so effing back. They are very close to setting a college basketball record for the most times being back in one season. They are not back, and then they are back, and then they are not back. And right now they are back. They hang 117 points on Alabama. Justin Edwards has a near-perfect game. Misses one free throw, but otherwise was 10 for 10 from the field, 4 for 4 from three. He had a monster game. Antonio Reeves is awesome as he usually is. Big Z even had an awesome game. And Kentucky's back to looking like they are unstoppable, because that's how Kentucky has played all year, is that when their offense is rolling, they do look unstoppable. But then every so often, the wheels fall off. So we're back to believing in Kentucky. Also back, R.J. Davis goes 1 for 14 against Virginia on Saturday. Carolina still won that game. Virginia basketball is completely broken. They can't even get 50 points anymore. Carolina still beats Virginia, but R.J. Davis did not have a great game at all. Follows that up, though, on Monday night with 42 points in the Dean Dome against Miami, and it was a much-needed 42 points. Miami tried to make it interesting late there. Ended up being a 4-point game. Carolina was almost handed the game away. But R.J. Davis had 42 points. That's exciting. Also back, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are 2-1 since firing Chris Holtman, with wins over Purdue and Michigan State. I mean, we don't, there is chatter that the Buckeyes might have a path to the NCAA tournament. I don't want to get crazy, so I don't want to get ahead of myself and talk about that. But we will spend 30 to 40 minutes of this show talking about if there were in fact a path for the Buckeyes, what that path would look like. Maybe we'll do a full hour on that. I don't know, but no. Ohio State wins at the buzzer, Michigan State, and I am feeling things once again for my college basketball team, which is all I've ever wanted. But I'm using that as a segue to say I'm going to do my best to talk about the things I love in college basketball today. That was my motivation. I was putting notes together for the show, and the big talking point is court storming, which makes me want to just like bang my head against a wall. That this is what we are talking about in the sport. I will share my thoughts. Most of you that have been following me for a while probably already know my thoughts. I will talk about that a little bit, but what I really want to do is talk about the things going on in college basketball right now that I absolutely love and that make the sport great, because far too often we're talking about all the dumb shit, all the bad shit. Let's talk about the good shit today. So we'll do a quick court storming thing, and then I'll talk about the things I love about college basketball, specifically with this season. Let's get into it. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about the court storming, I guess. I I don't want to. Like I said, I want this to be quick. It probably won't be quick. In my head, I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about this, and we're going to move on to other stuff. I'm sure the reality is that I'm going to just rant for 45 minutes on how fucking insane it is that the temperature, I guess, if you want to say, although that seems a little pretentious to say it like that, and I'm trying to fight all the pretentious people in the sport right now, but the tone of these debates has reached a level so absurd that I genuinely cannot believe this is the reality that we live in. I cannot believe that I'm turning on my television and seeing Jay Bilas arguing that and you know, you could say that he wasn't arguing that the guy that all the students should be arrested, but the fact that he's like throwing it out as though it's anything other than just an absurd notion that we should arrest college students who run out on the floor. Seth Davis doing the same. Like he's doing his best to tweet through it, saying this doesn't happen in the NBA. Is the reason why because the NBA fans are more measured and calm than college fans? No, that's not why. It's because the NBA will arrest anybody that goes on to the floor. And you know, the implication there is, I guess Seth Davis thinks that that colleges should start arresting students that go onto the floor. It's so I really don't know where to start, because like this is it's indicative of a bigger problem for me, which is that college basketball has a very serious problem of the loudest, most prominent voices of the sport seem to fucking hate the sport and hate the fans that love the sport. And it drives me insane because I love college basketball, and I think that like we should be exalting anything that makes college basketball stand out from the rest of the sports landscape. And storming the court is one of the things that like Bill is going on about like how those of us in media are tacitly responsible, and you know, like we're the ones putting all these images on the screen, and the fault lies in us because we try to shine a light on how cool this court storming is. Yeah, we do. We do that on purpose because it's awesome. Because storming the court is one of the coolest things that happens in sports. It is awesome. Everything about it is awesome. Wake Forest has been to one NCAA tournament since 2010. This is a program that has a very storied history. They have some of the greatest basketball players that have ever played the game of basketball have worn Wake Forest jerseys. Now, not the greatest, they aren't the greatest program in college basketball history. They have some fucking legends now. I mean, Tim Duncan and Chris Paul alone is enough to like look at Wake Forest and be like, damn, that's a program with some rich history right there. They have history. It's a tiny ass school in North Carolina, and a part of the country that has all sorts of other programs that are probably better than them. And Wake Forest still has a proud history of basketball. And yet, Wake Forest has not been to an NCAA tournament since 2010 in earnest. They went to one tournament with Danny Manning. They were in the play-in game. They lost immediately, and they were out. They have not truly been in what I consider the NCAA tournament, which is like having won the play-in game or not even playing in the play-in game. Like they haven't played on the Thursday or the Friday of the NCAA tournament since 2010. I believe it's 2010, and let me fact-check that because it feels it's so long ago. Yeah, in 2017 they were in the play-in game. They lose by 7 to Kansas State in the play-in game in 2017. The last time was Dino Gaudio in 2010, and they lost in the second round. Now they beat Duke. This is a massive win for the program. If the tournament, if Selection Sunday was tomorrow, Wake Forest would be in. This is a massive turning point for Steve Forbes. This is his 4th year at the school. He's had some success. They had a good year a couple years ago. Missed the tournament, which was, you know, they were snubbed from the tournament. But Steve Forbes is building something there. And all the students spill onto the court to celebrate what is obviously a massive win for Duke. They were favored in the game, but like everything about this is a great story. Everything about this is something that we should be pointing to and say, that's why we watch college basketball. It's that right there. We go out into the world, college basketball fans. We tell people we love basketball. They say, who's your NBA team? Do you like the Miami Heat? What about the Boston Celtics? You know, the New York Knicks have gotten better. Is that of interest to you? I'm sure you have thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers, and you stop these people and you say, no. Here's the thing, though. I do love basketball, and I will watch the NBA. but I actually love college basketball. And these people look at you and they go, are you stupid? You love college basketball. Why would you love college basketball? You realize that the players aren't as good. You should watch the NBA. They score 150 points a game in the NBA. Some of these college games, the Virginia Cavaliers are trying to compete for an ACC title, and they're scoring 45 points a game. Why would you watch that? Are you stupid? And you say to yourself, or maybe you say to this other person, that right there is why I watch it. Because this Wake Forest program, 14 years since they've been really in the NCAA tournament, knock off Duke, the rival from down the road. Huge win for the program. They can taste the tournament berth. It's right there in the grass. The students spill out onto the court. Everything about it is a scene that we should be very excited about. And yet, we're arguing about whether we should ban court storming and get rid of it altogether. So, I'm very. I mean, I won't lie. I am angry about this. I get angry every time this comes up. I get angry that people really want to get rid of this in the game, and the threat of injury, the threat of whatever is so overblown, it's comical. I mean, like, it took 2 seconds to watch the video of Filipowski and realize he pushed the guy, and then you start arguing, well, should the guy even be there, and if Filipowski has a right to defend himself, and yada, yada, yada. We've been doing this for decades, literally decades. People have been storming the court. There are never problems. It's like never, and I'm not saying there never will be a problem. There could be. There eventually could be a problem. There might be a time where this actually happens, where Kyle Filipowski does not initiate it's not just a student running onto the floor and Filipowski trips him and pushes him and then triggers this whole fallout from that. There could be a situation where the Caitlin Clark situation where she trucked the girl in that one as well. There could be a situation where the fans do stampede the opposing player and something happens. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It definitely could, okay? What I'm saying is that this notion that, like, Kyle Filipowski, after this goes down, and his quotes are like, I do feel like it was personal. I feel like they were trying to attack me. That is so fucking reckless to say stuff like that, and for people to like platform that and pretend like that's an actual valid point of view, that like all across this country, when student sections are spilling onto the court, they are motivated by the idea of physically assaulting the opposing team. They are not. They are simply not. And if something happens, it's going to be an accident. The thought that, like, in the immediate aftermath, that Wake Forest fans purposely were attacking Kyle Filipowski. Now, a guy shoved Filipowski in the back after Filipowski decked his classmate, which, like, I think is fair game. I mean, if Filipowski's going to fucking hockey check a guy running out on the floor, yeah, maybe another dude's going to push you and say, like, hey, man, don't fucking send my friend flying. But, yeah, it's just so many bad faith arguments, so many, like, yeah, okay, so maybe this wasn't a big deal, but the big deal is coming. And what are we going to have to wait till something really serious happens? I will continue to say, yes, we are. We are going to have to wait until something serious happens. This is the most joyous experience for college students that get to experience this. It has been going on for decades, and we are yet to have, like, a truly serious incident where all it is just, like, people breaking down grainy film of Caitlin Clark bowling over a fan. And in both of these incidents, like, the fan is the one that got fucking smoked by the player. I don't know. It drives me absolutely insane because it's an attempt to take away something that makes college basketball great. And I don't understand. I truly don't. And it's less about court storming to me, and it's more about just the greater issue at play, which is, like, these people like Jay Bilas and Seth Davis, and it's kind of everybody. Like, I shouldn't single those guys out by name, but they seem to be the two most insane. They seem to have the two most insane points of view. But it's a lot of voices in college basketball trying to take this away, and I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why would you want college basketball to be the NBA? It makes no sense to me. The passion is what we want. I argue the exact opposite. I think all the rich fucking blue hairs that come to these college basketball games, I think you get them out of the crowd and you put more students in. And I think it should be more raucous atmosphere. I think there should be a 70-30 split of students to old people at college basketball games. I think the students should run onto the court after every single win. I think the passion is what makes this sport awesome. And the idea that we should not only neuter this, but completely get rid of it, is absolutely insane to me. I cannot believe that there are people going on television and arguing for like tweaks and like I have these solutions for how we fix this. And Seth Greenberg's like we should find the schools $1 million and we should put a clock up when we get enough time to get the players off the floor. That the whole point of the court storm is that it is just a sudden outburst of excitement, and now you want to like have this system where we should have a 5-minute grace period where after the game you give the players time to get off the floor, and then we very calmly and coolly spill out onto the court with the fans. It's all insane, and I don't know, and I'm the bad guy, I guess, because I'm arguing the opposite, but I will go down with the ship. At some point, there might be an incident, and then people are going to be like, Titus, you dumb bitch, this is what we were trying to avoid. That's cool, man. You're also trying to avoid like all the like if we do that with literally everything in sports and society, where we're like this theoretically could be bad. Now I know we have a ton of data that says it's not, and we have a ton of instances we can point to. In between Kyle Filipowski situation at Wake Forest and me recording this, there have already been multiple court storms where there were no incidents. And I'm sure we should throw all those people in prison as well. We already have a ton of examples, almost 100% of examples where this goes off without incident. So if you're trying to write rules and dictate policy based on what theoretically could happen eventually, maybe, sort of, but if something a little different had happened here, then this could have been different, and that's how we're going to dictate how we do shit in society. I mean, it's a wrap on society, I guess. Like, you can't do it that way. You can't do it that way. Yeah, I do believe that we should wait until something happens to make a rule, and I don't think that's an insane point of view. And somehow I feel like I'm on an island arguing this, whereas arguing that we should arrest the fucking students for having the greatest moment of their lives, that seems to be a more defensible argument now. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but like the people that are trying to get rid of this, they're not going to stop fighting, and eventually we're going to get rid of this, and I'm going to lose my fucking mind when we do, because yeah, I do believe that court storming is fucking awesome. I think it makes the sport better. I think we need more of it. I think I've argued this when people try to say that like when you beat the number 18 team in the country, you should have more pride than the storm the court. You should not. You should storm the court if you feel excitement over your team winning the basketball game. That's it. And if you feel that excitement, you should run out on the court. You should celebrate with the players, and you should have a good time. And I'm pro it. I will always be pro it. And the idea that this is still a discussion point sickens me, and I hate that that's where we're at college basketball, where there's so many great stories going on. Where March is right around the corner, and we got Jay Bilas, who dude, I love Jay. I've always loved Jay. I think Jay is very smart and intelligent, and I think throughout the course of his broadcasting career, he's been a great ambassador for college basketball. And the idea that Jay Bilas is the voice of college basketball has been a good thing by and large. For a guy as thoughtful and measured and intelligent, and a guy who takes emotion out of things, he's literally a lawyer, and he always seems to approach issues like a lawyer, which is to say that he just like kind of has like a thoughtful approach. He's not caught up in the emotion of everything. For him to actually go on television and throw out the idea of arresting students that go onto the court is so absurd, so beyond the pale, that I literally cannot believe that those words came out of Jay Bilas' mouth. It like undoes all the respect I had for him almost. It's fucking insane. It's actually insane that he's arguing this. And more insane than that is that there are people nodding along with him that are like, yeah, we should do that. We should arrest students that go out onto the court. Yeah, so that's where I stand. I very much disagree with the notion that fans don't belong on the court. I hate that as an argument point too. I hate that Jay and Seth Davis, and I'm picking on them because they seem to be the most passionate about this. I wonder if it has anything to do with both of them going to Duke and Duke being at the forefront of this conversation. Surely not, right? Surely that has nothing to do with it. I hate this idea that fans don't belong on the court, and that's just like a matter of fact, period, case closed argument. It's not. I disagree. I think the students have a right to be on the court. I think the students, that's what makes college special, is that this isn't the fans of this. The Wake Forest fans that ran out onto the court are not just people that like the jerseys that say Wake Forest on them, or that like Tim Duncan all these years ago, so they cheer for Wake Forest. Sure, there are some Wake Forest fans who are that, but the people that went on the court are students. This is the idea of college sports, is that these are student athletes who have a shared experience with all the students in the student section. They all go to the same classes. They're all trying to pick up the same girls at the bars. It's all the exact same experience, except for this group over here is really good at basketball. This group is not. So what's going to happen is this group that's good at basketball is going to play these other schools, and you students are going to cheer them on. That is the whole point of college sports. That is the shared experience of being a student with the players. I think you have you absolutely have a right after the game is over to go celebrate with your fellow students on the court that you just knocked off. I mean, in the Duke's case, it was a top 10 win or whatever, but like you pulled off a big win. You absolutely have the right to celebrate. And so this notion that students do not belong on the court, there's never any reason for them to be on the court, I very much disagree with that. And in fact, I argue the opposite, that students have every single right to be on the court by virtue of paying tuition and going to this school. I think that they should be able to celebrate the win just as much as the players do. And that's ultimately what court storming is to me, is that the students are celebrating the win with the players, because ideally in the pie in the sky model of college sports, the students of the university are just as much a part of the wins and losses that the players are. That is what college sports, if in my ideal situation, the students are living and breathing by the wins and losses, because what the football team, what the basketball team, what the women's field hockey team, what all these teams represent is the university at large. And God damn it, I love this university. I'm a student at this university. I pay to go to this university. I will love this university my entire life. The wins and losses should be felt by the students. They should be celebrated by the students with the players. I think that is the ideal model of college sports. Trying to take that away is fucking insane to me. It is actually insane. It makes me angry, and I seem to be alone in that thought, but whatever. I'm going to take a swig of water and pivot to something else, TJ.
No, I think you're cooking. I like if Jay Bilas thinks that there's something's going to happen on the court, does he think that if there's a fight in the stands that they should be banned from, talking to each other in the stands? At what point do it, at what point is the line of insanity where it's this has happened forever? And I was watching this game with people on Saturday, and I knew, as soon as it happened, I was like, this is going to be a different thing because it's a Duke thing.
It's because it's a Duke thing.
I knew right away, I was like, oh, this is going to be a way bigger, the Caitlin Clark thing was one thing, and we kind of, looked at it and then laughed about it once we saw more footage about it, and she was okay. But, as soon as it happened to Duke, I was like, oh, this is going to be, a turning point in this situation.
Yeah.
And it's, really unfortunate. My favorite moments involved with Rutgers sports involve court stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very unique thing to college sports that you get to very rarely participate in, if you're lucky, once or twice ever. And to take that away, it's very disappointing to me.
Yeah, I just don't understand how that can be the how decisions are made. It is crazy. It's crazy that you could say you could write policy based on what theoretically might happen. Yeah. And again, I understand the day is going to come where something is going to happen, where Kyle Filipowski, where you're going to watch the video and it's clear as day that Kyle Filipowski was just walking and someone trucked him over, and now he's going to miss some games, and now it's a serious thing. I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm not stupid. Of course, fans spilling onto the court could theoretically potentially lead to a dangerous situation. What I'm saying is that if the threat of it potentially, maybe, sort of, kind of, could potentially, might happen one day, is enough to get you to get rid of something, that it will never have any, like you said, TJ, where do you draw the line with that shit? If that's how your thought process with this stuff, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this idea that it would never court storming would never happen in an NBA game so it shouldn't happen in college basketball. Of course, it would never happen in an NBA game. NBA games, they have to play music so the fans know who's on offense and who's on defense. They have to they play chants through the loudspeakers. Defense. They have to play that. So that way, all the fans that are there at the game, they know what they're watching. Okay, so is that what we want? We want to compare the fan experience of college basketball to the NBA, and we want to move in the direction of the NBA. It's insane, and I don't get why. I truly don't. It makes me upset that the people that represent our sport feel so strongly about taking away the stuff that makes the sport awesome. It's really a bummer. So enough of that. Let me pivot away from that because I truly don't want to talk about it, but I also, like I said, I do think that like if guys like me that are like, shut the fuck up, dude, it's not that big of a deal, and we just kind of move on, they're going to win. The people that are anti-court storming are going to win, and that's going to be a sad day when they do. So I guess I kind of do have to address it every time it's an issue. And boy, is it an issue right now because it happened to a Duke player, and as we all know, they are more important than everybody else. Quick break to talk about our friends at DraftKings. Get in on the college hoops action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. What is a no-sweat bet? It's just like getting an offensive board. Miss your first shot, you get another opportunity to score with a bonus bet back. You can also follow along what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool betting group in the social section of the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Titus. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses, only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Titus. The crown is yours. All right, so here's some things I love about college basketball right now because I think that this is important. I think that we need to stop and I want to be the change I want to see in the world. We have to stop like pointing at court storming and NIL and transfer portal and like every conversation we have and goddamn, these reviews at the end of games are disgusting and the shooting numbers are disgusting this year and like I can't watch this shit, and like that seems to be a lot of the focal points of conversation around college basketball, which is obviously very frustrating because I love the sport and I do love its flaws, but like when all you're ever talking about is the bad stuff, it's hard to convince people that the sport is good. So here are things that I think right now, like in 2024, I don't know if it's unique to 2024, but I'm feeling it in a big way, and it's something that keeps me excited at a time where my alma mater is terrible, and we had to fire our coach, and everyone's arguing about court storming, and there's frankly this season like not a ton of things to get me personally as a fan super excited about, but there are these things, and this is what keeps me coming back. So I'm going to start at number one with parody. I think I think when you hear sports fans complain about leagues, about whatever sport that they're not loving at whatever particular time, I don't know if this is the number one issue, but it's a consistent issue across professional leagues and across college football. This would be a criticism of college football that people have, is that there's no parity and that the same teams win over and over. And in a lot of instances, the complaints about parity are unfounded, just in the sense that like I do feel like people still complain about parity in the NBA, where like the parity's never been better in the NBA right now. Good luck figuring out who's going to win the NBA title this year. And there is a lot of parity in the NBA, but that seems to be a complaint that people have about sports is, oh, damn it, dude, the Chiefs are in it again. The Chiefs are going to win the title again. And it's always Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia and the same teams in college football that are always at the top. And that seems to be a big complaint. College basketball right now in 2024, I think there's more parity than there's ever been in the history of the sport. I think the idea of the 50th best team in college basketball beating the number one team in college basketball is as likely as it's ever been. And, in a lot of ways, I don't want to say that's not good. I would say that's confusing because, I think we've talked about it on this show. Certainly I've talked about it with Brandon on Mostly Sports. I don't know if it's bad, but like I do kind of like the idea of there being the heavy hitters that are unbeatable, and so that way when they do lose in the tournament, it feels like more of an upset and it feels like more of a monumental occasion or whatever else. But I will say the way college basketball is set up right now with the parity we have now, yes, if Purdue or UConn or Houston don't make it out of the first weekend, if they lose to a 16 seed, at this point we've seen two 16 seeds beat 1 seeds in the last handful of years, so that already is not going to be super shocking. But even if they lose, say, in the second round to the 8 or the 9 seed, because those are Purdue, UConn, and Houston are all almost certainly going to be 1 seeds. If all 3 of them were to lose in the second round and not even make it to the second weekend of the tournament, I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not. Like the way college basketball has been going this year, you can't be shocked. And I think the parity we have because of that, the good part of it is that I do think that there are a lot of teams that are very excited about where their team is at. You have a program like South Florida that just clinched a share of the American Athletic Conference for the first time, and like they're ranked now, I believe. I think that's the first time in school history that South Florida has been ranked. Is South Florida going to win a national title? Probably not. But to have a team that can knock off some of the pull off some upsets and string together some wins, that's an awesome story. To have. You look at the power conferences, and I think I did something similar on the show not too long ago, but we'll revisit it now. In the Pac-12, you have Oregon State, who's in last place right now in the Pac-12 standings. They beat Arizona, who's in first place. Arizona's going to win the Pac-12. Washington State swept Arizona, and it looked there for a second. You want to talk about a story that we should all have been talking about, and maybe if Washington State hadn't lost to Arizona State, we would be. But the last year of the Pac-12, one of the 2 schools that's getting left behind swept the school that's going to win the Pac-12. And it looked there for a second like Washington State might win the Pac-12, and they still theoretically could, but losing at Arizona State certainly hurts their chances there. But in the Pac-12, the team that's currently in last place beat the team that's currently in first place. And the Big 12, West Virginia is in dead last. UCF is in 11th place. They both beat Kansas, who is in 3rd place. You have the Big 10, Ohio State, who is in 13th place, next to last, 13th place out of a 14-team conference. Just beat Purdue last week, because Purdue's going to win the conference. Purdue is currently in first place. In the ACC, you have Georgia Tech, who is next to last. They are in 14th place in a 15-team conference. They beat North Carolina a month ago. North Carolina is probably going to win the league, and if they don't, as it stands right now, at the very least, they are in first place. So you have a team at the bottom of the standings beating a team at the top. In the Big East, Butler is in 9th place. They are 3rd to last in the Big East. They have wins over Marquette, who is in 2nd, and Creighton, who is in 4th, on their home courts. They went on the road and beat Marquette and Creighton both. In the SEC, you have 6 teams that are like within 2 games of winning the conference. You have 4 teams that are within a game. You have Georgia, who's 3rd to last in the SEC, who beat South Carolina, who's in 3rd place and a game back of first place in the SEC. In every single power conference, the parity is crazy. And yes, it can get a little diluted in the sense that like trying to get a casual fan excited about a number 1 upset when it does feel like it's happening a lot. It's a harder sell to be like, dude, did you see UConn last night? They just got blown out at Creighton. And then, maybe a casual fan is like, does that just not happen that often? You're like, well, it kind of happened to Purdue too when they were number 1. They got blown out at Nebraska. But, still, it's crazy, right? I do get all that, but I do think that the parity is setting up for an all-time NCAA tournament. And also when you consider this, and I had this epiphany, if you want to call it that. I went on Pardon My Take last week, and Dan and I are talking about like teams we like and teams we don't, whatever. And I mentioned that I can't quit Tennessee. Tennessee's a team that I'll never be able to quit because I do trust that their defense is good enough, and as long as Dalton Knecht is healthy and suiting up for the Vols, I'll believe that they have a chance to score enough offense or score enough points and have a good enough offense to complement the defense in a way that they have in the last few years. And anytime you mention Tennessee, the reaction is obvious, and I know it's coming. It's that Rick Barnes in March, really that's all he said. That's all Dan ever says, is just Rick Barnes in March. And I know what he means, but also, like, what does that actually mean? And then it dawned on me, and I said this to him. I was like, but if you do the Rick Barnes in March thing, you have to do that about basically every coach. You have to do that about Matt Painter. You have to do that about Shaka Smart. You have to do that about Tommy Lloyd. on down the line. Like the list of coaches that you trust are basically just the coaches that have won national titles. But then even then, like John Calipari's on that list, and good luck finding anybody that trusts that guy coming up in the NCAA tournament. Tom Izzo's on that list. Good luck finding anybody that trusts that Tom Izzo still has the magic and is going to lead the Spartans to a national championship as a 7 or an 8 seed or whatever they're going to end up being. So yeah, I realized I looked at the AP poll, and I think this helps with the parity part of it all. Of like, yes, UConn is the defending national champion. Yes, UConn does feel like a little bit of a juggernaut. But at the same time, UConn is. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. They are far from a perfect basketball team. But even if you want to say, yeah, we can trust Dan Hurley, which is funny to me because like nobody before Dan Hurley won a national championship, nobody would have. Not that Dan Hurley was bad, but you wouldn't have. If you're making the case for UConn winning the national championship last year, before the tournament started, you would not have put on one of your bullet points that Dan Hurley knows how to get it done in March. Like that just wouldn't have been one of your bullet points. And then now he's won a national championship, and you're like, you know why I'm trusting UConn? Because Dan Hurley's a guy, he knows how to fucking get it done at March, dude. That guy just knows. Which makes sense, but it just points out how stupid all of this is that you just basically wait till a guy wins a national championship, and then you say, okay, now I trust him. But when you look at the AP top 25, you have Houston at the top, right? And Kelvin Sampson has been to 2 Final Fours. He took Oklahoma to the Final Four in 2002, and he took Houston to, let's call it what it was, a Mickey Mouse run to the Final Four and in a bubble against double-digit seeds. But whatever, the banner hangs and it'll fly forever. He's been to 2 Final Fours. He's not exactly a guy that you can't trust in March, but also who's looking at Houston in the last 5 or 6 year run of Houston basketball and saying, I'm putting Houston in my Final Four because Houston is – When the bracket cut, like no matter how good or bad Houston basketball is, they find a way to get it done in March. They're not bad. It's just like if the standard is going on Final Four runs and competing for national championships, like Houston did go to 1 Final Four, and then they got smoked by Baylor, and it was clear that they were not on the same level as Baylor and Gonzaga that year, which a lot of teams weren't. But I'll give Houston and Sampson like a half point of trust. Beyond that, you have Purdue. Zero trust. There's zero trust whatsoever in Purdue. You have UConn who you do trust because they won the national championship, obviously. You have Tennessee and Rick Barnes. No trust. If you're someone that puts if you put Tennessee as your national champion, people will point and laugh at you and they will say Rick Barnes cannot win in March. You're a fucking moron for that. You have Marquette next, who's ranked 5th in the country right now. Shaka Smart has been to 1 Sweet 16 in his career, and it was with VCU a million years ago. Nobody's trusting Shaka Smart to get it done, and Marquette is right there. Arizona, same thing with Tommy Lloyd. We've seen 2 Tommy Lloyd NCAA tournaments, and both of them have been disappointments. So do we trust Arizona? Now, Kansas is next. We trust Bill Self, but funny enough, like this Kansas team, I don't even think Kansas fans trust Bill Self with this year's Kansas team. I don't even think Bill Self can fix this Kansas team, but, put Kansas on the list because Bill Self has definitely won a national title. You have Iowa State, North Carolina, and Duke after that, and I think Otzelberger and Hubert Davis and John Shire are 3 guys that are still young and, like, we don't really fully know where we stand on these guys in the tournament. Hubert Davis did go to a national championship, but then when you turn around and you're the preseason number 1 team and you only make the tournament, I think you immediately lose all the trust that you had built up. And after that, you have Auburn, who I guess Bruce Pearl, he made the Final Four in 2019. I guess he's a guy that we trust to get it done. But again, like this Auburn team, the guard play, I'm not sure this is the team we point to and say Bruce is going to get this done with this roster. Creighton, Illinois, Alabama, all 3 programs that people are not going to trust because of the coaches or because of the history of success or lack thereof in the NCAA tournament. All of this is to say, I just listed the 14 best teams per the AP poll right now. They are littered with coaches that you quote-unquote cannot trust in March. And of those 14, it is, I don't know where I'd put the odds, but they are very, 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 very high that the national champion is going to come from one of them. And the whole point of saying all of this is to say that the parity is in an incredible spot. And when the NCAA tournament starts, it is going to be an incredible tournament because all of the teams that are at the top are not coached by guys who we trust. basically. Like all of them are trying to get over the hump in the NCAA tournament for the most part. And then even the teams themselves, like when you have a top three of Purdue, UConn, and Houston, and those are like, that seems to be the tier. I think Houston has played their way up into the tier. It was a Purdue and UConn versus everybody else situation. I think Houston is now in the mix. All three of those teams have had games this year where they've looked like dog shit. I mean, Houston got stomped at Kansas. They made it a little bit closer in the second half, but Kansas was running them off the floor. UConn has lost twice by 15 or more points. Purdue lost to Nebraska by 16, and they lost at Ohio State, who's not a good basketball team at all. And even the other day against Michigan, like, Purdue was doing all they could to give Michigan an opportunity to win that game, and Michigan just couldn't help but shoot themselves in the foot over and over. So, yeah, like the teams at the top are far from infallible, and I think that's great for college basketball. And I think that's something that we should all be excited about, is the parity, is the idea that anything can happen. I know we say it every year going into the NCAA tournament. It is not necessarily true to the extent it is this year. I do think the parity this year with the I don't know where the stat is at now. I think it's like the unranked teams at home against top 10 teams, I think it's probably down to like somewhere in the 45% range. But there for a second, it was like they're winning 55% of the games. All of this is awesome, and I think it's something that we should all be very excited about. So that's number one. Number two that I'm excited about this year, that feels different, especially compared to last year, is that it is a guards game. When you look around, I know Zach Edey's going to win National Player of the Year again, but when you compare this year to last year especially, last year, as a reminder, the best players in the country were your Zach Edey's, your Trace Jackson Davis's, Drew Timme, Hunter Dickinson, Armando Bacot, Adama Sanogo on UConn, Bilas at Arizona, Oscar Tshiebwe, National Player of the Year, came back for Kentucky, and he was playing at Kentucky last year. Like, all of these guys were the big names in the sport, and they were the guys who, when they would play each other, those were the focal points. And it's like, oh, man, we're getting Hunter Dickinson versus Zach Edey, and Trace Jackson Davis versus, Armando Bacot. And, like, these are the premier matchups that we're all excited about. I do think that college basketball being a safe haven for big guys to return, college basketball having the NIL and having a situation where some of these dinosaur type players like a Zach Edey, who are not necessarily sought after by the NBA, having them come back and playing college basketball is very much a good thing. And I think we should encourage it, and we should be excited about it when those guys are coming back. But the sport cannot be a big man's game. It cannot be a big man. We cannot have college basketball be dominated by big men. It is a terrible product. It is not something that is fun to watch. It is not something that is indicative of the best teams. Like, by the time March rolls around, you do need guards. You will always need guards. It should be a guards game. We as fans of the sport should Purdue's a good example. Like, I don't want to say it's a Zach Edey problem, because I think part of the reason Purdue is a more viable national title, not even part of, literally the reason Purdue is a serious national title contender in a way that last year I never felt like they were, is because the guards are better. The guards are older. They got Lance Jones, who's way better than anything they had last year in that spot, and I think that's ultimately going to be the difference for Purdue, and they're going to go deeper in the NCAA tournament this year, which is to say they're not going to lose to a 16 seed. So I do love that the big guys are back, but I think this year, having a situation where you look around at the best teams in the country, the best players in the country. Yes, Zach Edey is still the guy in college basketball, but the caveat to that is Purdue stepped up the guards in a big, big way. Braden Smith, being the playmaker that he is the story of Purdue basketball this yeyear. And if it's not Braden Smith, it's getting Lance Jones in the transfer portal and him being a guy who every time there's a big moment, every time it happened in the Michigan game again. Lance Jones hits a massive three where it was like, no, I don't expect Michigan to win this game. It's not like Michigan had all the momentum and they were about to win, but Michigan was like still believing there for a second. Michigan like wouldn't go away, and they're still trying to put something together. And Lance Jones hits a big three. He's been doing that all year. That is the story of Purdue basketball for me. Beyond that, you have North Carolina, who Armando Bacot has kind of been the guy. And I know Caleb Love last year, by virtue of the NCAA tournament run and hitting the shot over Duke to end Coach K's career, like Caleb Love kind of became one of the marketable faces. But Armando Bacot's the guy that's on all the preseason All-American lists, and Armando Bacot's the guy that's going to break these rebounding records and scoring records at North Carolina. Like, he was the guy that you're pointing to saying, like, that's probably the best player on the team. That's the most consistent player on the team. You can't have that. You can't. In North Carolina, figure that out. And R.J. Davis is the best player on the team this year, and Armando Bacot's still fine, but, like, R.J. Davis making the leap without Caleb Love has been awesome for both North Carolina and I think the sport at large. Having a game where you could turn on the TV and see R.J. Davis score 42 points, 42 meaningful points where Carolina needed all of them, that's awesome. Having the number one team in the country be led by Jamal Shedd, the best defender in college basketball, and L.J. Cryer, and, like, having Houston's big guys are fine. I like Juwan Roberts. I think, like, Houston is – I don't mean to say that those guys are bums, but having the number one team in the country be so good defensively, but have that defense be led by the guard play is so good for the sport. That they can have – Houston can be disgusting to watch in terms of, like, the total number of points being scored, but they're so fun to watch when you watch how hard they're playing on defense and they get every loose ball. And Jamal Shedd's instincts are incredible. Tennessee's another example. Kamwa was a guy last year that was maybe I know Vescovy was their lead. I think he was their leading scorer last year, Vescovy. But Kamwa was a guy who's now at Michigan and out for the year. He was the guy last year for Tennessee that I felt like was their most consistent and maybe their best player. I mean, I don't even know how controversial it is to say that, but it felt like he was their consistent rock as a team last year for Tennessee. And now you have Dalton Knecht and Zakai Ziegler who are leading the way for the Vols. That's a great thing. Last year, Kentucky, the focal point of everything they were doing was Oscar Tshiebwe, the reigning National Player of the Year. Kentucky's not that way anymore. Kentucky's a guard-dominated team. That's great for the sport. Even UConn, who had great guards last year, and Hawkins was awesome, and Newton was awesome for them. Adama Sanogo was, the leading scorer. He's kind of the guy for them. I don't know. It's a little bit different for them, but he was their leading scorer last year. To have Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer be the 1-2 punch for UConn this year is awesome. Illinois has Terrence Shannon and Damask as their 1-2 punch. Arizona last year, I mentioned Bilas is kind of the guy, the engine for them, and now this year it's Caleb Love and Boswell, and, like, again they still have Ballo, who's a great big guy, but I think having a situation across college basketball where guards are so good and on so many of the best teams has been Baylor's guards, Ray J. Dennis, and Jacoby Walter, and Iowa State's two guards, and Mark Sears at Alabama, and on down the list. Like, you pick a top team, more likely than not, their guards are the reason that they're good. And I would say the teams at the top, if I was putting together a list, the teams at the top that you would point to and say their best player is definitively a big man are basically just Purdue with Zach Edey, Auburn with Janai Brome, and Duke with Kyle Filipowski, although we don't know the status of Kyle Filipowski. He may never walk again. So, like, I don't even know if we can consider them their best player anymore. And of those three, of Purdue, Auburn, and Duke, Purdue and Duke got guards now. Like, Auburn's guards, I am very worried about. They are good defensively. I am worried about them offensively in the NCAA tournament. But Purdue's got guys that can play on the perimeter, and Duke's got multiple NBA guards. So, yeah, I think that is something that when you watch college basketball this year as opposed to last year, it is very much a guards game, and I think that is something we all should be very excited about. I think big men matter, and I think big men we should entice them to come back, and I think having big men in college basketball is great for the sport, but at the end of the day, it is a guards game. That's what puts the asses in seats. People want to see People definitely want to see R.J. Davis scoring 42 points against Miami, way more than they want to see Zach Edey shooting baby hooks. Purdue fans are going to disagree, but Purdue fans, deep down in your heart that you had way more fun, just on an individual level, you had way more fun watching Carson Edwards go bananas than you did any game Zach Edey's played. And you know that. Now, I'm not saying those teams were better. I'm saying specifically as on an individual level, Zach Edey's a better player than Carson Edwards, but you know that you had way more fun watching Carson Edwards when he got hot than watching Zach Edey shooting baby hooks in the paint. And you know that. And I think that is what I'm trying to say about the sport at large, is that last year a lot of big guys. This year we still have good big guys, but like Hunter Dickinson's still awesome for Kansas, but having Kevin McCullough and having DeJuan Harris, like it's so much better this year. It's so much better this year. What else did I write down? Oh, this is a good one because this is a criticism I hear a lot from college basketball. The coaching characters, that we don't have enough characters anymore, and that college basketball is in a weird spot because all these guys are retiring, and I do think that's true, and I do think that, like, hating John Shire isn't as easy as hating Coach K, and, like, what is North Carolina without a Roy Williams? And Boeheim is no longer at Syracuse. That's weird. All of these things are true. I don't necessarily think that it's a stupid argument to make, but I will point out that, like, this idea that college basketball is starved for coaching characters, I think if you believe that, you haven't really been paying attention to this season. I think every day I look up and there's something else going on from some coach. I mean, you have Rick Pitino wearing the white suit at the Garden as they beat Creighton, and then he's telling stories about how his tailor told him he couldn't get it done, and then he sweetened the pot and slipped him a little more money, and the tailor got it done. And, like, is that super interesting? Is it more interesting if Rick Pitino is hiring hookers for his players? Yeah, probably, but that's something. It's something to see Rick Pitino in a white suit at Madison Square Garden. We're all getting very excited about that. You have the Ed Cooley saga this year, which has been the gift that keeps on giving. You have Dan Hurley coaching the UConn Huskies. He's an absolute fucking maniac. They lose at Creighton, and he's trying to fight fans. That's awesome. Nate Oates was pushing players on the other team this year, and Nate Oates is a wild card. Nate Oates is a guy that can get tossed from any game, and who knows what the hell he's going to wear, what he's going to say in a press conference. And he's coaching one of the better teams in college basketball. You have Shaka Smart coaching Marquette, and getting on the floor. I mean, that was remember when we were talking about that when simpler times, dude. I miss. You want to talk about getting on the court? Get Shaka Smart. We should Shaka Smart be arrested? I guess is what I'm saying. Should we have arrested Shaka Smart for being on the court when he was playing defense? I think Jay Bilas would say yes.
That's storm adjacent, I would say. Yeah.
And in that one, at least the game's going on. Like it's a live ball, dude. And all these other ones, the game's over, and they're just running on the court after the game's over. But yeah, that's something. Shaka Smart is, and a handful of other coaches do it too. But Shaka Smart is all over the court playing defense. Bruce Pearl is nuts. Auburn's a good program, and Auburn's having a great year. And I'd have to go back and look at where people picked Auburn in the SEC and nationally. I don't think they started the season ranked. I don't think people expected much out of this Auburn team. And Bruce Pearl has got them playing good basketball, and he is out of his fucking mind. And he is a guy that, like, I don't love. I love cheering against Bruce Pearl, always have. Don't love his past, but, you know, he is a charismatic dude, and a lot of people do love him. So having him coaching one of the better teams is good for the sport. Having Kelvin Sampson, he's a character in and of himself. He's an absolute maniac as well. Brad Underwood at Illinois, certified character. Steve Forbes, Wake Forest, just the program that everybody's talking about right now. He's calling out Joe Lunardi, and he's a guy that is very animated and very opinionated, and he's crazy, and crazy. Like, all these coaches are crazy, and I guess that's the point, is that there are not as many legends of the game, but you still have a lot of crazy coaches, and on top of that, you still have your Bill Selfs, you still have your John Calipari's, you still have your Tom Izzo's. TJ Otzelberger is a guy who's trying to find a shirt that fits. That's interesting. He's been his entire career. He's yet to find a polo that fits him correctly, and I think that's an interesting storyline. I didn't even bring up Mick Cronin, like, hating his team, and all throughout this season, UCLA basketball, like, you could just Google at any point in time Mick Cronin quote, hit enter, and find something funny. So yeah, this idea that there are not coaching characters in college basketball, I think that is patently false. And I think if you pay attention to what's going on and you actually, like, watch some of these press conferences, guys are saying wild shit. They're throwing their teams under the bus. The Rick Pitino. I mean, it worked. Like, he basically said, he did say, I think that was a direct quote, this is the most, I guess I don't remember the direct quote. He didn't say miserable. This is the most unfun. This is the most, he said something like miserable experience of my life coaching this basketball team. And then they turn around and beat the brakes off Creighton in Madison Square Garden. How could you not love that? There are coaching characters everywhere you look, and this idea that like college basketball's in a tough spot because Coach K isn't there to lecture the other team. I do agree with that, though. I guess I'm talking myself in circles because Coach K's rant, if he was still coaching at Duke after the court storming thing, oh my God.
He might have
actually got somebody killed.
He might have actually gotten arrested.
Yeah, right.
Or certainly he would have sicked the police on somebody.
God, that would have been
that would have been incredible.
I don't get. We're back on court storming. I don't get why. I think that's my issue. Is just that like, if Filipowski would have just after the fact just been like, yeah, you know, I ran into the kid. It sucks. I wish it didn't happen. You know, I don't love that they ran on the court before the game was over, and it felt like a little chaotic out there. But I'm fine. And at the end of the day, like we probably should have won the game, and I could have done better to get off the court. But I'll be all right. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. If he like downplays it, the reaction is very different. Instead, he gets carried off like he's a wounded soldier in the middle of a war. He says that he believes the attack is personal, and like, what are we? It's so reckless. I cannot believe that. I can't believe that they're getting away with this. I can't believe that you can say that, and there's any other reaction other than just pointing and laughing at Duke's program right now. I can't believe that like because I would be more willing to understand your point of view if you'd have been like, yeah, man, like looking back on it, Matt Painter wasn't right, but like that was a way better response than what Duke has done, which is John Shire and Duke can't even figure out what Kyle Filipowski hurt, whether it was his knee or his ankle or anything else. Yeah, that's what frustrates me the most is like you're pretending to be you're very much leaning into being the victim in all this when we've been doing this for 1,000 years. I saw Cam Jones and Marquette did tweet like the easiest way to not get stormed is just to win the game.
Yeah.
And people view that as an absurd point of view, and that's not fair. You can't win every game. Of course you're going to lose, and there's going to be court storming and all that. I don't know. I think that's just as valid as arresting. And I would say that's more valid. That's a more valid argument is just simply win the game and the court storm won't happen. That feels more valid to me than we should arrest all of the students. Yeah. But also, he's kind of right. Like, just win the fucking game, dude. If you lose, if you're a top-ranked team, or you're playing for a school like Duke, and you're going on the road, you know that this is a possibility. And one way to not have this happen is to win the game. I would simply win the game.
Duke is probably in more court storming situations than maybe any other team in the last 40 years. Like, dude. The other option is just don't ever win, and then no one will ever want to court
they should try
against
that.
you.
In fact, Duke, I'm on your side. We got to put an end to this, and I think the best way to get that done, because everyone's throwing out their solutions to court storming. I think my solution is this: just lose every game. If you lose every time you go on the road, the court stormings will stop, and all of your players will be healthy, and we won't have to worry about this ever again. So, no, I think that's a fair. That's a fair point of view. Last thing I was going to say, and this is a little bit different of a thing to be excited about with college basketball, but I do think the women's game is awesome, and it seems a little hypocritical because the women did endure their court storming controversy with Caitlin Clark, but for the most part, I think women's basketball is better than the men. A lot of people believe that women's college basketball is more interesting than men's college basketball because the one incident with Caitlin Clark at Ohio State notwithstanding, for the most part, the women's basketball is just the basketball. And I think that is why it's more interesting. Everyone can point to, like, we know, like, all these people are coming back for 4 years and there's more roster continuity and it's easier to identify stars in women's basketball. All those things could be true. But I think, like, when you think about what is actually being talked about in men's college basketball as opposed to women's college basketball, the women's college game, they talk about the actual fucking basketball way more than the men's college game. And I think it might be just as simple as that. It's like, Caitlin Clark is electric and she's so fun to watch, but we also we talk about like I don't even know anything that's gone on with the Ohio State women's team other than the Caitlin Clark fiasco with the court storming. I don't even know what the off court or the ancillary topics of conversation are. I do know that the Ohio State women are red fucking hot. They're number 2 in the country and they won the Big Ten. I know that, and I'm fired up about that. That's super exciting. I think that's one of the things that the women have going for them. But yeah, women's college basketball is in an awesome spot, and having like the LSU women be a super team, but then they lose like right out of the gate to Colorado, and they haven't quite put it together in the way we expected them to. But they're still very, very good. That's super interesting. South Carolina is an absolute juggernaut, 27-0, no close games really. They're beating the snot out of everybody. You have the Pac-12 in the final season of Pac-12 basketball, and in the women's game, they have 6 ranked teams in the Pac-12. There's more Pac-12 teams ranked right now than any other conference. And then on top of it, I do love the parity, but this is kind of the counter to that with the women's game. Talking about the men earlier, how it's kind of hard to understand like what's a big upset when every upset feels like a big upset, and that gets a little muddy. What's crazy about the women's game right now is every team, there are a lot of really, really good teams, and one of the examples I'll point to is that the Indiana women are currently 22-4. They are undefeated at home. They are having, if this was a men's college basketball season, they would. A 22-4 team that doesn't lose at home and is in the Big Ten with other great teams like Ohio State and Iowa, and Maryland has a good program. I don't know how good they are this year, but you would think that Indiana would be like 3rd in the country, 4th in the country, something like that. Indiana currently is ranked 14th in the country, and they are 22-4. And the reason they're ranked 14th is because there are so many other good teams in women's basketball right now. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited for the women's tournament as well. The Final Four is in Cleveland. And I'm not saying I'm looking at flights, TJ, but the Buckeyes are ranked 2nd in the country. Final Four is in Ohio. We are going to be in Phoenix for the men's Final Four as the women's Final Four is going on. If the Buckeyes do make the women's Final Four, some decisions are going to have to be made. It's going to be a Mincy situation where I have to decide, do I want to be at the poker tournament or do I want to be at this other event?
They're the same weekend?
I think they are, yeah. Traditionally, they're the same weekend, yeah.
Doesn't that seem like a miss?
Yeah. I think the idea is they're trying to capitalize on the men, like on the off day for the men. When you're like, man, you know what I want more than anything else right now, because there's not college basketball on my television, is college basketball. Right. And then the women pop their head up and they're like, what about us? And I think that's how they that's the thought process. But yeah, I don't know if I fully love that. This year it is Friday, Sunday of the men. Yeah, I think that's how they. In the past, they've done it on Tuesday national championships. I think.
I do recall now watching Caitlin Clark at LaBerge last year when we were there.
Right.
So
yeah, we watched but this year it's in Cleveland at the Cavs Arena, and it's a Friday Sunday deal. Yeah, the women's Final Four will be on a Friday. Then the Saturday is the men's Final Four in Phoenix. So, these Buckeye women keep playing the way they're playing. I'm going to have to...
Private jet for the weekend.
I'm going to have to get the private jet. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, give me the private jet. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth from Phoenix to Cleveland. Anyway, Parody's awesome. Coaches are awesome. A lot of fun guard play. The sport's in a great spot. A lot of fun stories going on. Iowa State is right there in the Big 12. They're a lot of fun. The idea that Iowa State is not out of they can still win a share of the Big 12. I mean, they're going to need some help. They need Houston to lose. But for Otzelberger to have those boys in the toughest conference in college basketball, and they are ranked in the top 10 and could theoretically win a share of the Big 12, that's an awesome story. And Washington State has been an awesome story with Kyle Smith out west. Yeah, they're in South Florida, like I said earlier. Like there are a ton of awesome stories, but unfortunately we're talking about court storming because I don't know, that's where we're at as a sport, and I hate that. And I think that I do think the women's game does a much better job of just talking about the basketball, and I think that's what that's what college basketball fans want more than anything else too. Is like that's what separates college basketball from the NBA as well. Is like we as a sport try not to talk about what fucking, Zach Edey wore to the game today. We don't get shots of the players walking into the tunnel and then just be like, damn, dude, did you see those sunglasses he was wearing? We don't give a fuck who the players are dating. We don't care about we don't care about we don't care about like who unfollowed who on Instagram and all that sort of shit. Which isn't to say that like we're not interested in gossip every so often, but the meat and potatoes of college basketball is supposed to be the basketball itself, and somewhere along the line we've lost that, and the meat and potatoes have become all this other nonsense. Because if it's not court storming, it's arguing about the NIL and the portal and conference realignment and fucking like even the end of play reviews, which is like technically basketball, but it's really not. It's not in the same spirit of actually arguing about basketball when we're bitching about how the refs go to the monitor all the time, which it is a problem, but it's like I don't want to lose sight of what matters most, which is watching a bunch of dudes that probably won't be playing basketball in 5 years, having this window of time of their lives to represent their universities and their families and their friends and their states and whatever else they're representing for that small window of time, and come together and try to accomplish something that is improbable, because there are 360 God knows how many teams in Division I, and they're trying to be the one team that is the national champion at the end of the year. It makes for compelling television. It is so fun to watch, and I don't want to lose sight of that by talking about whether we should throw students in prison for celebrating their win. We should not. I'm firmly anti-prison. I think the Wake Forest fans, I saw Steve Forbes apologize for it, and maybe that was the right thing to do. But no, I don't have a problem with this, and all the people. Oh boy, here we go. All the people that are arguing that we should keep. They don't want to get rid of court storming. They just want to do it in a safer way. And make sure that everybody's safe. I mean, like, I know you think you're helping, but that's like the most no shit statement ever. That's like the most no shit sitting on the middle of the fence statement you could you're like, I love court storming. We just have to do it in a way that everybody is safe. You're kind of not saying anything at that point. You're not, because like you're I don't know. That's like a no shit. I don't want anybody to get hurt either. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt. In fact, I don't want anybody to get hurt court storming. I don't want anybody to get hurt playing basketball. I don't want anybody to get hurt doing literally anything. I want no human being to get hurt. Don't ever get hurt. Is that a blanket covering of every single issue? But yeah, the people that think they're helping when they're like, we can keep court storming, but let's just do it in a way that's not court storming at all. Let's do it in a way that's like, we have a shot clock up. We do a single file line or whatever all these suggestions are. That's not court storming. Court storming is holy fucking shit, we did it, and you run out onto the court. That's court storming. That's it. And if it's not that, then what you've just described is not court storming, and you're not helping. So if you're pro court storming, you just want to keep it as is. If you're not, and you're like, we should do it in a safer way, then what you're describing is like an assembly. What you're saying is we should have a school dance on the court after the game, which is not court storming. That's something completely different.
After they win, everybody gets a ticket to come back the next day.
The next day, yeah, on the off day.
And then a scheduled court storming.
Right. That's kind of what they're saying. And they think that they have like the big brain genius solution, and it's not. It's not a big brain genius solution. A couple shout-outs before we go. Shout out to Greg McDermott signing an extension at Creighton. You're welcome. You're welcome to Creighton fans. You're welcome to Greg McDermott. I threw out Greg McDermott as a possible Ohio State candidate. And he signed an extension. I did it with Tommy Lloyd as well. He signed an extension after I said, I'm not saying we're going to get Tommy Lloyd, but, if Arizona's broke and Ohio State's not, maybe we take a swing at Tommy Lloyd. And then the next day, Arizona's like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and sign Tommy Lloyd to an extension. Steve Kerr also got an extension with the Warriors, so mark him off the Ohio State coaching candidacy list. So, yeah, any other coaches want to get paid, I will gladly throw your name out as a candidate. I saw Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch, wrote the article about the idea of Thad Matta returning to Ohio State. And I won't lie, I felt it move a little bit, TJ. I did. It's not going to happen. I don't think Thad's leaving Butler, but I did feel it move a little bit. So Congratulations to Coach Mata on signing an extension at Butler, which is going to happen any day now, just because I've now talked myself into the possibility. It's definitely not going to happen, but the fact that Adam even put that headline out there was awesome. I felt really good. I will say, unrelated news, the Chicago Bulls are 3 games under 500, and it says here that Billy Donovan has not won a playoff series since his first year when he had Durant and Westbrook on the team. And it also says here that people forget that Kevin Durant left the Thunder because of Billy Donovan, because he played 1 year for Billy Donovan. Was like, I could get the fuck out of here, dude. I got to get the fuck out of here. And people are saying Billy Donovan can't coach at the NBA level, and they're saying that the Bulls should just fire him. So that's unrelated. So shout out to Billy Donovan on your NBA coaching career. Just going horrendously wrong. Just not good at all. I mean, I think most people would agree that Billy Donovan is kind of in over his head in the NBA. In college is more his speed. And if he, I don't want him out of coaching altogether, but boy, it does seem like he just kind of doesn't know what he's doing at the professional level, and maybe he needs to get back to college. So that's unrelated to the topic at hand. What else? Oh, last shout. I was gonna say something about LeBron and Bronny, but LeBron deleted the tweet, so he doesn't actually believe that either. Last thing, shout out to all the Indiana high school basketball programs taking part in the state tournament, which is all of them. I don't love that. I still am an old head, and I wish that we had the old school system of getting rid of class basketball and everybody was playing for one trophy like it used to be back in the day when I was growing up. But, the IHSAA state tournament starts today. In 49 states, it is just basketball. This is Indiana, and there are two people that I will have immense respect for. If you are an Indiana Mr. Basketball, and if you were on a state championship, on the 4A state championship team, the rest of this classes you suck at. Like, come on, step up with the big boys in 4A. If you win a 4A state championship in the state of Indiana, and/or you are Mr. Basketball, you can lead with either one of those things, and I will defend you to your death. You have me as one of your soldiers forever. I have immense respect for both those people. But the IHSA state tournament starts, and my goal is to make it to one of the games. I don't know how I'm going to do it. The schedule fills up. As it turns out, when they're playing these high school games, there's also a lot of college games on at the same time. And I wanted to go this weekend, but I can't. I can't. So then I was like, I'll go next weekend, but then I got a friend visiting, and then I don't know, dude. I'm really worried. I was really excited when moving back to the Midwest that I'd go to more high school games, and so far I've only gone to one. There's only one time I've gone to high school basketball games in Indiana, so hopefully I figure out some time to get down there and check it out. I got Fishers winning the 4A, by the way. I saw Fishers play. When was that? Dad and I went to Southport and watched Fishers play. It must have been in December, early December maybe. I like this Fishers team. I like the way they're coached. I like the way they move the ball. I like they got like a freshman kid starting who I forget his name, but he impressed the hell out of me. I was shocked he was a freshman. I like this Fishers team. So put me down for Fishers winning the championship. But I will say Sectional 8 in Indiana is fucking stacked, dude. Like they got like 5 of the top 7 teams in the state are all in the same sectional. So if Fishers can get out of their sectional, it's one of those deals. They have to get out of their sectional, and then it might get easier for them. If they can win the sectional, I think the road might actually get easier for them. But I think Fishers going to win it all. But go Dogs. Hopefully Brownsburg goes on a miracle run here. IHSA state tournament starting. I'm excited for that. Anything else before we go?
Did you see how the Philly Catholic high school tournament ended? Dude, this is an insane finish to this game.
Send this to me.
It's Roman Catholic versus Archbishop Ryan. I'll send you the clip right now. I'll get you live react.
Yeah, send this to me.
This I think it sounds like a thing where it's like if you know, you know that the Philly area Catholic high school.
Yeah, I imagine. I
fucking insane.
I don't know, and yet you saying Philly Catholic high school basketball tournament that works for me. That pops for me. Yeah. All right, here we go. They're down 2. This team in the black.
Yeah.
It looks like Zone defense. Wow. Whoa. Wow. They didn't call timeout. That's incredible.
Thrill in the agony.
That's incredible. And I noticed too. This is why I'm so fucking mad, dude. Because the first thing my brain noticed was one of the fans comes out on the floor and gets tackled by. They're trying to celebrate the win, and the hard ass. That's what we need in sports is hard ass adults telling kids to stop having fun. That's awesome. What a win.
Yeah, I love that final score too. 46-45 in overtime.
That is funny. To not call timeout in high school is crazy.
Right.
That's crazy for the coach to be like, I trust that we'll get a good shot.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's also crazy they don't stop the clock. The other team hit the 3 to go up 1, and the clock just kept rolling. It seems like you're just asking for shenanigans. Like the other team just accidentally kicks the ball, and I don't know. All right, that's the show. We'll be back on Friday. It'll be March on Friday. March will be here on Friday.
Now we go.
And now we go. That's it. I swear to God, I'm not talking about court storming again.
Well, anything could happen between now and Friday.
We're not talking about it. If something happens, I'm saying this right now. If something happens, good, bad, or otherwise, with court storming, I am not talking about it on Friday at all. So if it's a deal where it's like a guy gets hurt and then I don't talk about it, and everyone's like, you're not talking about it because you're wrong, you're in the wrong, and you're gonna look like a fucking idiot. You should apologize. No, I'm not. I'm not talking about anything. I'm not talking about any court storming on Friday. That is my promise to the American people. We're just talking ball on this show on Friday. We will see you then.